Ever since South Park Season 27 Episode 1 debuted, we have seen a level of backlash going against those like Trey Parker and Matt Stone, the creators of South Park over at South Park Studios and Paramount, not just coming from some Trump supporters, but also from those directly from the White House. And how Trey Parker is handling the entire situation right now is actually quite something to actually observe. This is Mike Zero. Subscribe if you're new, and like this video to see future updates. You can also follow me at Mike01. I thank you also very much for the great and kind support. Now, one thing that I do like about South Park is that they go after nearly everybody. Maybe not exactly everyone out there, but they do go toward those on the left. They also go toward those on the right, and they've done this endlessly over the years. Now, one could argue, one could debate that they actually create parody toward the right more than the left. That's one major argument between a lot of people out there right now, whether you're a South Park fan or not. But the ultimate thing here is that Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they are facing a level of backlash after Season 27 mocked Trump in various ways. I would say that, the cartoonized version of Trump wasn't as bad as what they did toward the tail end of that episode, where it actually took advantage of generated content, which I'm really not a fan of, by the way. I'm not really big on generated anything. But what's interesting here has a lot to do with Trey Parker firing back at, of course, those that are actually promoting criticism and really, putting it out there, but he's also going against the White House. And this is where things begin to really go out of control on both ends. However, with the first episode for South Park Season 27 already creating a wave of backlash from some Trump supporters and even those that are not even fans of Trump, one major development going on right now involves more to do with creators Trey Parker and Matt Stone and what they had to say toward the White House after the White House called them out on social media. Trey Parker recently delivered the following to clap back at the White House and even MAGA supporters. Well, there is an obvious case of hypocrisy coming from the White House, he says. It's okay for us to mock and parody one side, but the second that we decide to say, okay, let's do something funny about the current president, then all bets are off. So the White House and their response, I thought, was very juvenile. I talked this over with Matt, and we both saw this coming, that people were going to be angry. In particular, people that just don't understand South Park. As for the White House, who are they to say that we are a fourth-rate show? I would counter that and say that we are in a very high demand right now. I mean, just look at us. We are on Season 27, and we have some great ideas on the horizon, that we want to go even further, that I'm sure will stir up some emotions. But for the White House to actually say and label us as creators contributing to a fourth-rate show, that's very low, and even coming from the current administration. They need to realize that we parody everyone and everything, and they will soon understand what we have in store for the upcoming episodes. This isn't just all about Trump. That was never the plan, but we knew going into this it would be the must-go starting point for Season 27 to gain traction. The White House needs to chill. This spokesperson and others representing the White House trying to belittle us as creators, they just need to back off, because I can guarantee you if we did something similar to another well-known figure in politics, we would hear nothing but great support coming from the White House. So they have to understand that myself, Matt, and everyone else on board over at South Park Studios and Paramount, what we do in the form of parody. But we are sorry. We are so sorry. And the same thing applies to some supporters of the president. If you want to watch South Park, keep an open mind about who we are going to parody next. We try to make it as fair as we can, and nothing will stop us from that. Now guys, let me just stop here for one moment about what Trey Parker is really putting out there. Now, he really is trying to make it ultimately clear here that they do parody everyone, whether you're on the left or the right. And look, I will say this openly. I mean, I do value many different things about President Trump. I'm all about the border. I'm all about border security. I'm all about abolishing DEI and some things like that. Does Trump get, upset over specific things a little too far? That may very well be the case, but look, I'm all for some of his actual, decisions in the country, such as closing the border, having tighter security on that, getting rid of DEI, getting rid of all the woke nonsense. There are things that would have never actually happened if Trump was not elected. That's a for sure thing, and we have obviously witnessed an actual mandate, an actual cultural shift once he was elected in November, right? But one thing is for certain is that we've seen a lot of differing opinions. There's no doubt about that with this South Park episode. Now look, did I think that the whole Trump and Satan thing was funny? It did bring back a lot of nostalgia, that's for sure. What they did back then with Satan and Saddam Hussein, we've seen that before, and it really kind of brought you back to that. So it was nice to see it in that return, but I think that the whole generated material toward the tail end, I can't even bring up images of this, by the way, of what they did toward the tail end of that episode. People are flipping out over that, and you're going to have obvious, split opinions on what they did toward the tail end of Season 27, Episode 1. If you guys have no clue what I'm talking about, maybe go ahead and search up Season 27 of South Park, Episode 1, the Trump PSA scene. Alright, you guys may very well understand whether or not if they went too far in that regard. However, he goes on to actually conclude, I notice MAGA folks are trying to say that we are biased as creators because we didn't go after Biden or Kamala in many cases. Well, they need to understand that sometimes you need the right material to work with. So to that I say never, and you may just be surprised what we have in store soon. This won't be our last time creating parody of the president. There is just so much material to work with there, but the White House needs to really stop it with the hypocritical responses toward us as creators. Now look, it's one thing to actually say that, they had to open things up with the president in order to actually gain traction for Season 27. I don't think that you really had to do that. In that sense, I think that they could have done something quite the opposite as a starting point. I don't think that you really need to use Trump as leverage to actually make Season 27 a success right from the get-go. But the other thing is that it's one thing to say that, it's another thing if they're going to double down and make every single episode about Trump, if they went in that direction. That I could see where you would gain a lot more backlash and where it may be more warranted. So you don't want things to be too one-sided, that's for sure, when it comes to South Park, because what South Park is known for, at least for the most part, is that they do go after everybody and everyone, as Trey Parker is making that very clear. Now look, let's be very, direct here. They haven't really gone after Biden or Kamala in a very direct, open way as they did toward Trump. That's a given fact. And he actually puts it out there that may very well be on the horizon. The whole never say never thing, right? You guys may be surprised of what's in store next. Is that a little hint of what's to come? It could very well be, because we haven't seen an actual season by South Park in quite a while. But overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about Trey Parker here and the whole Trump parody, what they did between Trump and Satan, what they did between the whole Trump-generated material at the tail end. I've never seen South Park go that far, by the way. And that's, I think, why you're getting such a polarizing response from some fans and even from some non-fans of South Park. So overall, I would like to hear what everyone has to say about Season 27, Episode 1, and how Trey Parker and Matt Stone are handling the White House response. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel, and I will catch you guys later.